Alright, so good day learners. Today let's talk about the DNA, RNA, and protein synthesis. So our objective for today, explain how protein is made using information from DNA. So this one is an image of DNA. So this is an image of how the DNA genetic code information to provide a protein synthesis. So we have the transcription, we have the translation, and we have the protein synthesis. So what is DNA? DNA is also known as the deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA contains genes, sequences of nucleotide bases. These genes code for polypeptides or the proteins. And the proteins are used to build cells and do much of the work inside the cell. Or proteins the building block. So amino acid is the building block of proteins. So this is what we call the DNA. Now let me present to you. So we have the simplified images. So as you can see, so we have the nitrogenous base pair, we have the sugar phosphate or the backbone, and if you could see, we have the double helix strand of DNA. So the ribbons in this simplified double helix diagram representing the sugar phosphate backbone. So DNA is two strands called a double helix. The sides of DNA, so ito yung sides, so kada side, nagko-contain siya ng tinatawag natin na pentose sugar, or ano ang sugar niya? Deoxyribose, bonded to phosphate, PO4 group, and biphosphodiester bond. And the center made of nitrogen bases bonded together by weak hydrogen bond. So meaning DNA is made up of nucleotides. So ano ba yung nucleotide? Nucleotide is made up of 3. 1, phosphate group. Second, 5 carbon sugar. Third is the nitrogenous base pair. So what is nitrogenous base pair? So this is the image of nucleotide. We have the phosphate group. We have the pentose sugar kasi 5 siya. So ang sugar niya ay deoxyribose. And you have the nitrogenous base. So we have A, G, C, T. And what are those? So as you can see, so we have the G or the guanine. And we have the C or the cytosine bonded by three bonds. So T or thymine, and we have the adenine bonded by 2 bonds. So as you can see, we have the nucleotide here. We have the phosphate, pentose, and nitrogenous base. So this one, ganun din. Okay? So this one, yan, ganun. So as you can see, bonded siya ng mga nucleotides. And DNA is anti-parallel strand. So as you can see, one strand of DNA goes from 5 to 3 sugars. So this one, mapapansin nyo, 5, 3. The other one is 3, 5. So baliktad siya. The other strand is opposite in direction, going to 3 to 5 sugar. So yan. So we have nitrogenous bases. We have the double ring called as the purines. Those are the adenine and the guanine. And we have the single ring pyrimidines or the thymine and cytosine. So ito yun. So double ring. So we have the single ring or the thymine or cytosine. And the base pairing, so purine only pair with pyrimidine, having a 3 hydrogen bonds required to bond guanine and cytosine. Therefore, ang magbaband ay si guanine and si cytosine, or cytosine and guanine, and bonded sila ng 3 hydrogen bond. And as you can see, guanine dito, So the purine, so dalawa, and this one is a single. The other one, we have 2 hydrogen bonds are required to bond adenine and thymine. So, yan. So we have 2 hydrogen bonds for adenine and thymine. So this one, so let us answer this. For example, this is the first strand ng DNA and ito yung partner niyang strand. Kunwari ito yung 5, 3 strand, and this one is a 3, 5 strand. Okay, so we have adenine, thymine, is it correct? Yes, thymine, adenine. We have guanine and cytosine. Alright, so how about the guanine? What is the nitrogenous base pair? So G, I C. So palitan natin ang color. Okay, so this one is C. And so C, cytosine. How about the guanine? So cytosine pa rin. How about adenine? Alright, thymine. Okay, next. So what is RNA? So RNA is also known as the ribonucleic acid. So what is the difference of RNA to DNA? So DNA is deoxy, no? But when we say RNA, ribonucleic acid. So on this part, so remember, RNA has a sugar, ribose. Ano? Ribose yung sugar niya. Kay DNA ay deoxyribose. Yan, DNA has a sugar, deoxyribose. So RNA contains base uracil. DNA has thymine. So pagdating kay RNA, kung si DNA ay may thymine, mapapalitan siya ni uracil. Ano? So uracil ang papalit, meaning ang partner na, 'di ba sa DNA, ang partner ay thymine, adenine. So kay RNA, magiging partner na ni adenine ay si adenine and uracil. Okay? Next, the other one, RNA molecule is single. So meaning single strand siya. Then kay DNA naman ay double strand naman. So that is the difference. So ano yung role ng RNA and DNA? So DNA is the master plan, while RNA is the blueprint of the master plan. So we have 3 types of RNA. We have messenger RNA. It copies DNA's code, carries the genetic information to the ribosome. rRNA or the ribosomal rRNA. We have along with protein makes up the ribosome, and the transfer RNA or tRNA transfers amino acid to the ribosomes where proteins are synthesized. So mRNA or messenger RNA. Messenger RNA is a long straight chain of nucleotides made in the nucleus and copies DNA and leaves through nuclear pores. So meaning it contains the nitrogen bases, the adenine, guanine, cytosine, and uracil. So as you can see, wala ng T. Wala tayong thymine dito kasi ang papartner ni adenine ay si uracil. So made in the nucleus. So RNA, made in the nucleus, copies DNA and leaves through nuclear pores. So kakapihin niya yung DNA. From DNA, kakapin niya, then lalabas siya papunta kay lalabas siya dun kay nuclear pore. So later papanood natin yun. So ganito siya, single strand. Yan, so si uracil na yung partner ni adenine. So carries the information for a specific protein and made up of 5,000 to 1,000 nucleotides long. So ganun siya kahaba. So sequence of 3 bases. So ang tawag natin sa sequence ng 3 bases ay codon. So, codon will start AUG. So, yan, gada base, yung sequence niya, the codon. Yung AUG, example is the methionine or start the codon. At matatapos naman siya, depende sa code. Pag magde-decode tayo. So, stop codon, UAA, UAG, UGA. So, later, I will explain that. So, let's have an example. For messenger RNA, so kung DNA, so sabi nga si mRNA, it is a copy. Ano? Ikakopy niya yung yung genetic code from DNA. So, meron tayong codon na 3. So, we have T, A, G. So, anong partner ni T? So, we have A, C, A, U. Yun na hindi na siya T. Kasi RNA na siya, kaya T, A, G, A, U, then si G, guanine, cytosine. So, G, cytosine, guanine, cytosine. So, si T ay adenine. So, parang ganito siya. So, pagdating kay RNA, so si C, G pa din. Then si A, ang partner na niya ay si U. So, matibay si C and G sa cytosine and guanine. Bakit? Kasi nakita natin yung bond niya kanina ay 3. Diba? 3 yung bond niya. So, meaning, strong yung bond niya. Unlike kay adenine and thymine, double bond lang sila. So, as you can see on this, so let's answer this. So, DNA, TAC. So, ano ang T? Thymine. So, wala tayong thymine. So, we have A. And adenine. So, U. Then, cytosine. Okay, guanine. How about to? CCT. So, C. So, we have guanine. Cytosine. We have guanine. And thymine, T, is adenine. Okay? So, if we have the same answer, that's correct. So, rRNA. So, second type of RNA is rRNA. So, rRNA is a single strand having 100 to 3,000 nucleotides long, globular in shape. So, ganun siya. The other one is made inside the nucleus of a cell and associate with proteins to form ribosome, which is the site of protein synthesis. So we have the genes and proteins. Proteins are made up of amino acids linked together by peptide bonds. And we have 20 different amino acid exist. So ano ba yung amino acid na nag-exist? So amino acid are the called polypeptide. So the genetic code, so we have the codon, yung 3, designate an amino acid. So, kailangan natin ng codon para makuha natin si amino acid. So, ang amino acid, more than 1 codon. So, for example, ito yung isang codon, pangalawang codon, 3 codon. So, nagkakaroon tayo ng peptide. Then, pag madaming ganyan, tawag na natin dyan ay polypeptide. There are 20 amino acids but 64 possible codons. So, meaning 64 na codons na meron tayo. So, some codons tell the ribosome to stop translating. So, makikita natin yan mamaya. So, these are the 20 amino acids. Okay? And 10 of that is essential in our body. So, meron sa katawan natin. And the other naman ay makukuha natin sa mga foods o sa mga kinakain natin. So, these are the 20 amino acid. We have the glycine, alanine, serine, threonine, cysteine, valine, leucine, isoleucine, methionine, proline, phenylalanine, tyrosine, tryptophan, aspartic acid, glutamic acid, asparagine, glutamine, histidine, lysine, and arginine. So remember those amino acids. So for genetic code, so these are the genetic code. It is the center to the outside. So use that code on that, or genetic code, or tinatawag din natin yung minsan as the central dogma of DNA. For example, AUG. So ang code niya ay methionine. So paano yun? So A, magsimula daw tayo from center palabas. So ito yung A, group of A. So dito lang tayo titingin. A, then U. So yan, ito yung U. So we have GACU. So U. So AUG. So nasa yung G. So dito naman. So yun, methionine. Meaning, start the codon. Okay? So ganun. Another example. Yan. So name that amino acid. Yan. So for example, GGG. So G. 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 So ito ay glycine. So ito yan, glycine. The other one, UCA. So ito yung U. Then CA. So serine. So number 2 is serine. So ito yung serine. Next, CAU. C, A, saan ang U? Yun, U. So, histidine. So, ito ay, ang amino acid nito ay histidine. So, meron tayong codon, tapos meron tayong, ito yung amino acid niya. Okay? Yan. So, on the other diagram, meron man tayong gantong code. Pwede yung round, pwede naman yung ganto. Naka-table. So, yung first, ito yung first base. So, yung unang letter. So, dito tayo titingin sa una. Sa mga una. For example, G. So, G. Hanapin dito, yung first G. So, dito. So, dito lang yon. Dito lang natin siya makikita. Next, the second code is G. So, ito yung second base, yung pangalawa. So, tingin tayo doon sa pangalawa. Ang pangalawa, yung color blue. So, yung first ay color orange. So, blue, GG. So, dito, G. So, kung ito yung GU, GC, then, we have, alright, so dito tayo, GG. So, dito siya, G. So, GGG. So, yun, GG. Tapos, hanapin natin G. So, ito yun. Kaya ito ay glycine. Okay? So, pwedeng gandun table. So, CUA, UCA. So, we have U. Yun, U. C. So, dito tayo. So, ito yung U. So, lahat to ay U. Then, C. Pababa. So, we have U, C, A, G. We have U, C, A, G. Tapos, gadaan naman U, C, A, G. U, C, A, G. U, C, A, G. U, C, A, G. Okay? So, we have U. Then, C. Yan. So, we have U. Kumbaga, ganyan. U. And this one is C, A, G. Okay? The other one is dito sa taas, we have U, C, A, G. Okay? So, we have U, to, C, so dito, A. Yan, U, C, A, serine. So, ganun din siya yung kanina, yun sa bilog. We have C. So, C, U, C. So, dito. Next, second, A. U, C, A. So, dito. So, nandito siya. U, C, ay, C, A, U. So, yun, C, A, U. Histidine. Okay, katulad din siya nung kanina. So, remember, the complementary bases. On DNA, we have adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine, and RNA, adenine and uracil, and cytosine and guanine. So, those are the bases. So, for transfer RNA, so our tRNA, we have the amino acid, so that's the attachment site. We have that anticodon. We have the clover leaf shape. So that is single-stranded molecule with attachment site at one end of the amino acid. So ito yung template. So mapapansin nyo, so ito yung so meron tayong codon dito, tapos meron tayong template na may dala siyang amino acid. Okay, tapos ito yung anticodon. Okay? So ito yung anticodon. So opposite end has 3 nucleotide bases called the anticodon. So ito yon. So meaning kung anticodon, siya yung magte-template kay codon. Yun dito. Yan, for example of tRNA. Okay, for tRNA, so we have DNA kanina, mRNA, tRNA. So we have TAG, so we have AUC, tama? So yung AUC naman, i-decode natin. So AU, U, okay, uracil, adenine, cytosine, guanine. Okay? We have CCA. We have G. C, ang partner niya ay si guanine, cytosine, guanine, and adenine, uracil. Okay? How about this one? Let's answer. AUG. So, A, uracil, U, okay, adenine, and guanine, cytosine. So GGA, so G, cytosine, G, cytosine, and A is uracil. Okay? So I hope we have the same answer. So these are the codons and anticodon. So we have the 3 bases of an anticodon. So these bases are complementary to the 3 bases of codon. So example ng codon ay ACU. So ito yung codon nasa ilalim kasi ito yung single strand. Tapos ito yung template, yung kanina. So for example, it is ACU. Okay? So ano yung anticodon niya? So magiging anticodon niya ay ito. So yung A, partner niya ay, so madidecode ay U, diba? Adenine, uracil, cytosine, guanine, then uracil, adenine. Okay? Therefore, on that, anong amino acid to? So, ang amino acid, dito natin siya i-base kay codon. So, we have ACU. Kasi, kung ACU, UGA, then ACU. ACU. So, ano ang kanyang amino acid dito? So, ACU. Tandaan nyo ha. Ito ang ating codon. So, dito tayo magbe-base ng amino acid ACU. So, puntahan natin. Balikan natin. Okay. Alright, so ACU. Punta tayo kay ACU. A, so ito yung A. Dito. C, UC. So dito. ACU. So the name ay, yan, ACU. The name is threonine. So ang amino acid noon ay threonine. Okay? Next. Yan. So, ito yung template natin. Yan. So, ito ay threonine. So, ang name ng amino acid. Okay, name niya ay threonine. So, TH. So, protein synthesis, we have transcription. That is a process of copying the sequence of one strand of DNA. And we have the translation, process of decoding the mRNA into a polypeptide chain. So the DNA begins the process. The DNA is found inside the nucleus. Proteins, however, are made in the cytoplasm of cells called ribosomes. And the ribosomes may be free in the cytosol or attached to the surface or rough ER or endoplasmic reticulum. So, starting with the DNA code must be copied and taken by the cytosol. So, in the cytoplasm, this code must be read. So, amino acid can be assembled to make polypeptide. So, that is the flow chart. So, as you can see on that flow chart, so this is the gene or the DNA. So, this is the DNA template strand. We have the replication here. Nagkaroon na tayo ng replication. So, we have the transcription. So, as you can see, on the transcription, we have TAC. Papansin nyo, naging AUG. So, T, A, U, kasi mRNA na siya. C, guanine. So, in every, yan, 3, we have the codon. Tawag natin dyan ay codon. Okay, codon. So, on that mRNA, during the translation on the ribosome, so, kakaroon tayo ng protein. Okay? Kasi dyan sa codon na yan, may attach din na anticodon na dala-dala to. Therefore, we base our amino acid on that codon. So, AUG, so methionine, that is the start. GUG, valine. UUG, we have leucine. AGC, or the serine. So, kada isa is peptide or amino acid. At pag mahaba yan, tawag natin dyan ay polypeptide. Pinagsama-sama yan, magiging yang protein. Kaya nga, protein is the building block of amino acid. Meaning, ang isang protein ay binubuo ng madaming or polypeptide of amino acid. Okay, so what happens during transcription? During transcription, RNA polymerase binds to DNA and separates the DNA strand. Second, the RNA polymerase then uses one strand of DNA as a template to assemble nucleotides into RNA. And the third, specific bases sequences act as signal to stop. And for mRNA, leaves the nucleus through its pores and goes to the ribosome. Yan. So during transcription, so ribosomes read mRNA, 3 bases or 1 codon at a time and construct the proteins and the sequence of amino acid bonded together by peptide. And on that, ribosome. So this one, let us answer. So ito yung kanina, we have the tRNA UAG, GGU. So mRNA natin, so dito natin ibe-base. So AUC, we have isoleucine, CCA proline. Okay, so for this one, so hanapin natin, so AUG and GGA. So sagutan nga natin ano ang amino acid nito. AUG and GGA. So comment down your answer. So we have processes of protein synthesis. We have initiation, elongation, and termination. So initiation, so that is initiated by the AUG codon on mRNA. So that signals that the ribosome with the mRNA, also the tRNA with the anticodon or the UAC. During the on that, initiation has N-formyl methionine attached, so that is signals to start the process. During the elongation, the polypeptide chain adds amino acid, so madadagdagan ng amino acid. And for the termination, ito na yung magsasabi na when time to stop, when a nonsense codon. So meron tayong amino acid na nagsasabi stop na. So iba naman, next naman. So dito, initiation. So yan, magbabind. Okay, so we have polypeptide, madadagdagan. And this is the time to stop, to make it a protein. Yan, for example on that. So example natin ng ito yung sasabi ko na with the start and with the end. Okay, so as you can see, ito yung methionine. So meron tayong start the codon. Yan. Pag naman mag-i-stop na, so tingnan natin. So ito, example yan, stop the codon. So stop na siya. UAA, UAG, yan, stop the codon. Hindi na siya magpo-produce ng chain. So yan, stop the codon, the UGA. Okay? Okay, so let's start the codon. So we have the mRNA. Yan, so we have the codon 1, codon 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yan ang kanyang protein. Okay, we have the methionine, glycine, serine, isoleucine, glycine, alanine, and codon 7, yung UAA, diba? Stop the codon. So as you can see kanina, AUG, start the codon. So laging methionine. Okay, so yan yung ating, pag ito yung gada isa, amino acid, or peptide. Pag madami na siya, polypeptide. At ang isang ganan ay pagbubuo ng protein. Kasi protein is the building block of amino acid. Yan, so we have the primary structure of protein. So yan, we have the peptide bonds. Okay, so let us watch this. So for us to really understand. Okay, let's wait. Okay, so let us watch this clip.
Here is a cell, the basic unit of all living tissue.
So we have the cell here.
In most human cells, there is a structure called the nucleus.
So we have the nucleus here.
The nucleus contains the genome.
So we have the
In
genome.
humans, the genome is split between 23 pairs of chromosomes.
And so this is the structure of chromosomes.
Each chromosome contains a long strand of DNA, tightly packaged around proteins called histone.
And so we have the tiny package called histone, and that is coiled on that is called DNA.
Within the DNA are sections called genes. These genes contain the instructions for making proteins. When a gene is switched on, an enzyme called RNA polymerase attaches to the start of the gene. It moves along the DNA, making a strand of messenger RNA.
And so as you can see from DNA, magiging RNA. So we have helicase. So siya yung enzyme para maging single. So you can see pag RNA, single strand na lang siya. Okay? And we have the free flowing of these bases.
Out of free bases in the nucleus.
Yan, so as you can see, may mga nag-a-attach sa kanya. So ito yung RNA. Mapansin nyo, yung T, A, pero yung A, nagiging uracil na nag-a-attach. Okay? So ito yung ating pinaka-main, pero ang dumidikit na sa kanya ay itong mga free flow of bases. Na nasa
The DNA code
site of
determines the order in which
nucleus.
the free bases are added to the messenger RNA. This process is called transcription.
So that is an example of, that's a process called transcription. And as you can see on that
Before the messenger
mRNA,
can be used as a template
so
for
the
production
order
proteins,
of
it needs to be
mRNA or
processed.
messenger RNA.
This involves removing and adding sections of RNA. The messenger RNA then moves out of the nucleus into the cytoplasm.
Yan, so mapapansin niyo, lumabas siya dun sa nuclear pore. Papunta na siya sa cytoplasm.
Protein factories in the cytoplasm, called ribosomes, bind to the messenger RNA.
So so pag sabi natin ribosome is the protein synthesis of a cell.
The ribosome reads the code in the messenger RNA.
So, ay, wala. So,
Protein factories in the cytoplasm, called ribosomes, bind to the messenger RNA.
So as you can see, meron na siyang template.
The messenger RNA to produce a chain made up of amino acids.
Yan. So ito, we have the amino acid.
There are 20 different types of amino acid.
Yan. So we have amino acid, we have the anticodon. So this is the tRNA. Meron siyang template. So ito yung mag-decode ng kung anong amino acid to, at meron tayong anticodon.
To the ribosome. The messenger RNA is read 3 bases at a time.
So yan, as you can see, AGU. Okay? We have CUCA. So AGU, I think methionine. So UCA. So madidecode na siya doon. So dito natin kinukuha yung decoding kasi ito yung codon. Tapos ito yung anticodon. So sa codon, doon natin kukunan anong name noong amino acid.
As each triplet is read, a transfer RNA delivers the corresponding amino acid.
Yan, so we have the chain of amino acid
This is added to a growing
bonded
chain
by
of amino acids.
polypeptide bond, so or called polypeptide.
Once the last amino acid has been added, the chain folds into a complex 3D shape to form.
So yung unang amino acid, that is the start of codon, at yung last yun yung stop the codon.
The protein.
At yun, so ganun siya, magiging protein na siya. Kaya nga, protein is the building block of amino acid. So that's all. Thank you for listening.